Welcome to Old Guy Tech,
the OGT.TV recording studio.
Technology for the rest of us.
Hi, I'm Rob Charny, Old Guy Tech TV, and we're here for Crime Beat, December 8th, 2015. This will be the last show of the year, and I'm on here with my good friend, Sheriff John DeAgostini. Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate you coming in. And all the folks watching, I appreciate that as well. So anyway, we kind of thought that we would take an opportunity to readdress some of those issues that have been facing the department, the Sheriff's Department here in El Dorado County, throughout the whole year. And so there's a few things that I thought we'd want to talk about and just remind people what's going on. And then there's some new stuff we'd like to talk about. That's going on with our country, which is just very disturbing. I'm losing sleep over it. I know Sheriff DeAgostini is a little upset too. So why don't we just start right off the bat? Let's see a little bit of maybe some good news. How are we doing on our facilities? How are we doing on the new sheriff's station?
On the new sheriff's public safety facility.
There you go, public safety facility.
We're still moving ahead. Although I've said many times, maybe not as fast as I'd like, but we're still moving. So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Here coming up in the near future, we have 3 very important votes that the board will be considering. The first of which will be through a highly competitive bidding process. A organization or company won the bid to do what's called the bridging documents. So that will be all of the documents, the general idea, the general design overview or whatever that a design build company contractor will later bid on to build.
So a company need to put everything together as a package so that your RFP can go out exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
So that company was actually a local firm.
Oh, good.
Won the bid very successfully. We were very pleased to hear that. And I think that, I know that they were significantly less, not that they were less quality, but because they have a personal interest in our community.
Sure.
And want to be able to see this project through. And it's Arch Nexus here in Placerville.
Very good for them.
So hopefully, I believe it's on the 15th, that vote will come before the board, and they can approve that contract, even though we've already started working with them. And then the next big vote will be around February, end of January or February. The property will be hopefully purchased and done.
No, it's in hold right now.
It's in escrow right
now. Okay.
While it went through environmental impact reports and CEQA and NEPA and all that stuff.
Right.
The comment periods are either done or just winding down now. Everything has been very, very positive.
Go figure.
And $2.6 million of my last year's fund balance. Remember, we've always said I wish they'd at least do something with my fund balances that meant something.
Right.
Well, they programmed $2.6 million of last year's fund balance just for this purpose. So the money's there. It's programmed into the budget. All the board's got to do is do the aye vote. So that's the next very important vote. And then the third vote, and this has been a process that we talked about on the show before. How do we pay for this building?
Right.
Early on, very early on, way back, within the first 6-8 months of us talking about this, somebody had brought to my attention USDA rural development money or something like that.
Right.
And I looked into it, and some other folks looked into it, and we didn't qualify because El Dorado County was too big.
Right.
The budget was too big, and so forth and so on. So it was for very rural, low-income, low-budget counties that need assistance with some low-interest, long-term financing for facility infrastructure. Well, but apparently there is an exception for public safety.
Oh.
And about a year and a half ago, it was brought to our attention, the county's attention, and the county voted for and it was approved by the board to do a pre-application. So they did that. The USDA came back and approved the pre-app, so basically says, yes, you can apply. You are qualified. and pre-approved us for the application for up to $54 million
Wow.
on the pre-application. So, of course, the financing will not be that much. We're probably going to end up, the total project when we started talking about this was about 52 was a safe number. 52 million was a safe number.
Right.
And we're already probably down to around 45.
Okay.
Maybe even less. So if you look at that funding source, we're talking 40 years, around 3%. That's less than $2 million a year for debt service. The county can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that. I've done that. So that will be the next big vote. Now, quite honestly, the rumor going around that I'm hearing is there's some concerns about Measure A. You remember what Measure A was?
Remind me.
Measure A was after the county built building C.
Yeah.
The community got a little bit frustrated that the county went into debt and borrowed or did a bond to build building C. So Measure A was brought before the voters, which passed, and says that before the county goes out and commits to a bond or any JPA type money, any multi-jurisdictional money or anything like that, that they have to go before the voters. And the language is very, very specific as to that, bonds or JPAs.
Right.
And some folks have already said, well, but the intent was any money. Well, the county would virtually become stagnant if we didn't allow the Board of Supervisors to do the job that we elected them to.
Right.
We live in a representative republic. Make a decision. So this USDA money is a loan. It's not a bond. It's not a JPA. I believe that it doesn't apply. That the board can make the decision to apply for and receive this financing. Yes, it indebts the county. However, we don't really have a choice.
Right.
We have to do something. To do nothing is not an option.
Right. Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely.
And
you have to do
we've
something.
had those conversations
Oh,
over
yeah.
and over and over. So that will be a huge vote. That will be a huge topic of discussion. Whether how county council rules or has a decision on the Measure A deal, which I believe is a moot point. And then, we talked about it on here before. Let's say that they nope, it's got to go to the voters. Well, that's great. What happens if the voters say no? Then what are we going to do?
Yeah.
It's the county 3 years ago when they made this a priority. Along with that vote to make it a priority to make this happen,
Yeah.
they also pretty much stopped maintaining our facility.
Right.
So we're even further
getting
down.
worse.
It's getting
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
So, I understand we want to do the will of the voters. I get that. But we also have a representative republic. We elect those folks to make those decisions for us. If we don't like them, we elect different people to make those decisions. That's a job that I believe is a responsibility before them. They need to take it seriously, and they need to do their job. And from my position, vote yes and get this done.
Measure A was a knee-jerk reaction to Building C. Because at the time it was felt that, it was this grandiose building that they built. And initially when it was built for overcapacity, so parts of it were empty. Lo and behold, did they know that they needed room for courts. They needed room for election departments. There were all kinds of things that ended up coming into this building. And it wasn't just going to be for the building department. And and there's people, of course, that are totally against spending any money at all. And it will be interesting. I'll be interested in seeing what county council comes out and says what Measure A, what it really does cover and what it doesn't. Because it sounds to me that this is not a bond. Basically, the facility once built, you're going against that building's value. So you're secured.
We're secured in that respect, and also in the savings that we're going to realize over time is going to, the numbers are showing it's going to offset the costs. So it's and that two million a year. And folks, I agree. I mean that's a lot of money. 45 million, 50 million, 40 million, 5 million. That's a lot of money. I get that. Our sheriff's office budget is 50 plus $1 million. I understand that. That's
Right.
a lot of dough. But we don't have a choice.
Right.
We're at a position now where we have to do something. And we, the county, and those involved in this process, have come up with the most, I believe, fiscally conservative way to deal with this issue and provide the best public safety service we can with the best return on the dollar. And my fund balances since I took office, with the exception of the first 6 months, which was 1.2 plus, have always been over that 2 million a year.
Right.
So, where's the money going to come from? And I've said this before. If the county prioritizes the budget as to core county functions without taking into account everything I just said, totally separate, the county can make this happen.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
has
I don't
to
think it's
happen.
unreasonable. And I think we've got another, we've got another issue that's looming over your current facility. It's so out of compliant, as anything. You got an issue there. I mean, it's not big enough to house everybody, so you're going to be, you lease space around the county. That will be coming back, so that'll
That's
be a huge savings right there, right? You got a big savings in that. You'll be able to have everybody under one roof.
Yep.
There's nothing but positives with this. And like I tell people, they talk about, wow, why does the sheriff need a new building? He just wants to build it. I'll tell you why. Go take a tour.
Anytime. The doors are open.
Yeah, just take a look at
Call, make an appointment and say you'd like a tour. You want to know what this study was all about and what they're talking about and what the sheriff's talking about, and we'd be happy to. We're very transparent about the whole issue. Every process that we've taken has been different than any process the county's ever done before.
Right.
Because we've done it, the county has done it purposely to be as defensible and as transparent as possible.
Right.
We don't want another, animal control facility debacle. We don't want another building C debacle. We don't want the building here in Diamond Springs debacle.
Right.
Everything has been from the matrix that they decided on which properties to where we are today, and finding this, what I consider is a fantastic finance opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's timely because we're all hearing on the news the feds are looking at upping the rates. Points are very, very expensive when you're talking
millions of dollars.
So,
boy, you got that right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, I think it's a great opportunity. What's good too is as you mentioned, you're going through these processes with current day eyes, the way things are supposed to be done. You're going through all the steps. It's a total different issue than what was going on with Building C. So I totally agree with that. And so let's hope the best. Let's get this thing going. Tell those supervisors, call your supervisors out there, everybody, and let them know we need this facility, please.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And that would be very helpful. That'd be
Thank you.
great. So one of the issues that I also have an issue with is this. We talked about sanctuary cities, and we've also talked about gun-free zones. And we had in California, if you had a concealed weapons permit, you had in penal code a statement in the penal code that said if you had a concealed weapons license, you could carry on school grounds, and that was kindergarten through university. And some idiot in the legislature somewhere decided that no, we can't have people with concealed weapons permits that, of course, are trained, know what they're doing, and the whole bit. We can't have them walking on school grounds with a firearm. So SB 707 was written. Jerry Brown signed it. So starting January 1, unfortunately, those of you that have a concealed weapons permit, you cannot carry your gun on school grounds. But what I wanted to talk about is that it seems to me that gun-free zones tend to attract situations, because it's almost like saying, hey, you know what, my neighbor doesn't have a gun. I'm going to put a sign out there that says my neighbor doesn't own a gun, I do. Figure out which place you're going to hit.
Absolutely. We don't call them, what do we call them? What's the word we came up for? Not gun-free zones. They're kill zones.
Yep.
That's
exactly.
It's bad.
And it's horrible. And in the most recent situation that happened in San Bernardino, I believe, I haven't been able to hunt it down, but I believe these were considered gun-free zones.
I heard the same. It was a government building.
Government building, right. So there was nobody there that was able to help protect themselves or anybody else during the course of the shooting. So it's like, how do you respond to that? I mean, you're putting your deputies, there's no backup or help or whatever it may be. And now we've got all these gun-free zones that all they do is, I mean, ever heard of a bad guy really paying attention to laws?
No.
I mean,
That's a
do they
criminal.
go into a
That's
gun
why you call
store?
them criminal.
Yeah.
They don't obey the law.
Yeah. Do they go in the, and the few, and then this thing that happened recently, this was pure terrorism, folks. This wasn't an act of some whacked out mentally ill, well, they were probably mentally ill, but people, this was an act of terrorism we just saw recently here in California. And one of the things about this gun-free zones, what I really like is that President Obama told us this year that during Thanksgiving, it was important that we sat and we had a discussion about gun control. So we did, and on Black Friday, according to statistics, it was the largest single day ever in the United States for gun sales. So thank you, President Obama. You made us think about it, and yes, we needed to all go out and buy some more guns.
He's been gun owners. I mean, his beliefs and the direction he's going is absolutely wrong, but he has been the best thing for the gun industry ever. Every time he opens his mouth and mentions gun legislation or gun laws or firearms anything,
right?
Gun sales go through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through the roof. Every time he opens his mouth, they go through the roof.
So the gun manufacturers need to write him a letter and say thank you very much.
Yeah, they should.
So, Black Friday, there was more than 175,000 background checks.
175 background checks in California.
Okay, so
on Good Friday. Black Friday.
I have the statistics. It was a staggering 185,345 background checks requests on Black Friday alone.
That's nationwide. We got a call.
Is that a call from us?
Is that for us?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Nope, not us. Wrong line.
Wrong line. Too many lines here. So, folks, anyway, that there you go, and that is just a one-day number that we're talking about. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And one of the things we were also talking about was actually how do they, get that data and how do they get the numbers. And some of the problems is, there's states that have different systems than we do here in California, and they do different background checks and things are done differently. And of course, a lot of them is what's called the 4473, which is the final paperwork you do when you pick up your gun. And that's a federal piece of paperwork. But of course, that never gets counted. So there may be even larger numbers than what we're talking about now. But it's the statement was made that if to get a sense of the scale of what I'm talking about with 185,000 firearms sold, there are only 182,000 active duty Marines and Army divisions are currently made up of 10,000 to 18,000 soldiers. So the fact is that we have a standing army of civilians,
as it should be, that is larger than any of our individual Army, Marines, Air Force, whatever it may be. Very interesting. It should be. It's a kind of on topic, but I went to my daughter's cuts my hair. Her little hair salon is right there by the police station, right next to the Army recruiters.
Right.
And Army, Navy, Air Force, all the recruiters. And when I went, got my hair cut yesterday, I walked by the office and the Navy kids were in their kit. They're young men. They're men.
To us, they're kids.
They're kids.
Okay.
I'm sorry, gentlemen.
I'm an old guy.
They're heroes. But
that's right.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I had a conversation with them when I was done, and I said, so I understand you guys aren't armed, are you? And they said, no, sir. I says, do you have an ability to be armed? They said, no, it's prohibited. And, we talked about it more, and my daughter's right there, and I think of it from a public safety standpoint, and those kind of issues, terrorism or whatever.
Absolutely.
And these are trained individuals. They're military. They're trained.
Right.
Now, there's a whole argument of Title X forces in the county and in the states and in the country, and being armed, whatever. But just for the mere act of being able to protect themselves or protect others, they're prohibited from being armed. I said, is there any way that we could get a special dispensation or something that
Yeah.
put a safe in here and just have them in there and have them locked or whatever. But if you need them, you got them. No, sir, we can't.
Yeah. So there is a lot of talk, because ever since that major, who was a psychologist that went crazy and did that shooting on that base, and I'm sorry, folks, I don't remember the name of the base, but unfortunately, it may have been Hood. One of the largest military bases we have. Nobody's armed. The only people that are armed are the MPs, and they have a very small number. So there is talk on the congressional level of, you know what, we need to arm these people.
Well, I would sure like to see it. I mean, our Army recruiters there are Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Guard recruiters.
Right.
Why? They're trained. They go through firearms training.
They know what they're doing.
Part of basic.
That's right.
They do that.
That's right.
Why aren't they armed? Why don't they have a means to defend themselves, or if it gets really bad, to defend their community?
Absolutely.
To help us out.
Absolutely.
One of the mass shootings in Fort Hood was by Nadel Hassan, a U.S.
Yeah,
Army major.
that's the one. Right.
With a
Fort Hood.
FN 5.7 pistol and a Smith & Wesson 357.
Yeah.
Fort Hood, yeah.
Fort Hood, yeah, absolutely. Crazy. I was absolutely dumbfounded when I found out that our guys weren't armed on the bases.
Nope.
It just, I talked to a number of veterans and other people, and they said, we've been talking about this since at least Vietnam. And, we all brought up these issues.
It's been that way since then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not right.
No, it absolutely is not right. So, because, we know that they're going to become targets at some point, and these guys need to be able to defend themselves. So, body cams seem to be, again, back in the news, and we've seen the issues that have been going on in Chicago and the release of some of the videotapes in defense of a particular officer. But, of course, it's been used against another officer. Chicago has a whole series of problems anyway, and we're aware of that. But we addressed body cams a while ago, and let's just talk about the issues that people forget about. It's not as easy as just clipping on a camera and going about your day. And I don't know if where your thought is. I know you told me you're gonna think more about the issue and talk more about the issue, and where are we at on that?
Where we were last time.
Okay, right. Well, yeah.
There's still a lot of questions and a lot of issues that got to be worked out regarding the body cams. And you're right. We've had it to talk on here. It's not as easy as you just put a camera on a cop and that's it.
Yeah.
You have storage issues. You have evidence issues. You have Public Records Act issues. You have a whole host of issues. Which technology do you use? Technology in this area is growing leaps and bounds every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And until I'm comfortable that, number one, they're going to work all the time.
Right.
And that we have answered a lot of the questions regarding evidence storage, how long we store it for,
right.
The non-evidence stuff, what is releasable, what are we going to release, the storage capacity of our system, of our servers. You're talking terabytes of information. Until I'm satisfied and I've seen it run its course, then we'll start the discussion on which direction we're going to go with them. We have in-car video. We've had in-car video for many years. And I remember when that technology was first coming out, when I was in Amador County, I was actually the first deputy that had an in-car video in his car.
Uh-huh.
I was the guinea pig. I was the test guy.
Right.
And it was always... It was a great tool. It was a good tool. Quite honestly, it protects law enforcement. Those types of technology protect law enforcement more than hurts us. Way more. When you get an officer or a deputy complaint, so-and-so did this, and you got film to prove, this is what really happened. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they changed
and
their
that's
mind.
that's 99 times out of 100. That's the way it pans out. But one of the biggest things, besides the cost and the policy issues and all that, the perception of when that technology is not functioning is huge.
Right.
If we put 10 cameras, if we put a camera on every deputy in the agency, go forth and do your job, and everything was going great for a year, and we had an incident, and that camera failed to function on one critical incident, then we're automatically being accused of covering it up, of conspiracies, of corruption, of everything.
Right.
And I'm just not seeing that they're there yet as
Right.
far as the reliability. I'm not there. I don't see that we're there yet in that respect either. So I'm still kind of in a wait and see.
Have these dash cams, do they fail at a regular rate?
No, they're pretty reliable.
They are pretty
They're
reliable.
the technology has become very reliable. But again, they do from time to time.
Sure.
They
Sure.
do from time to time. And it's saying, well, why don't you have the video? You know, and that's tough.
I think most of us understand that technology fails. I mean, we're a good example of it here in our studio at times. Sometimes. But, yeah, no, I understand. One more question on the dash cams. Does it record audio as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they
All
do.
right. So then it could be a situation where it's very sensitive as what's going on in this dash cam, and particularly with the audio going as well. So you guys have obviously worked that out, that, chain of evidence and all of that.
Well, yeah, we have it. We do, and those will probably be very similar, if not the same policies for body cams that we will use. But again, you're talking a whole nother level. The quality is good,
Right.
but not as good as these new body cams that they have, which quality equates to storage,
Right.
which equates to
Larger
money,
Right.
a lot of money. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, no, and I think it's wise to really. One of the things I think you're going to see is that we're going to see some policies actually made, maybe on the Fed level, as to how, when, why, where, what may fund it, what may not fund it, in the whole situation. And then,
That's a whole can of worms, though.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
just had this discussion with somebody the other day.
Yeah.
Well, what if the feds mandate it? Well, number one, I don't believe the feds can mandate it.
Yeah,
I believe it's a 10th Amendment issue. Number two, if the state mandates it, which that's a state right, then are they going to fund it?
Right.
Because then if not, then we got an unfunded mandate.
And gee, don't we have a few
So,
of those?
I think it's incumbent on the individual sheriffs, individual police chiefs, individual municipalities to make those decisions on their own. This whole conversation has come up because of a few very high-profile incidents, some of which have been proven to be absolutely justified after being drugged through the ringer and careers ruined and
absolutely.
lives
Lives
and everything
and-
else.
Oh, yeah.
And some have been just were wrongdoings,
Right.
and we own them. Law enforcement owns them. We, we're I think compared to other professions, I think that we're very, very high up there as far as good, honest people doing this job for the right reasons. In any profession, you're going to have a knucklehead. But I guarantee you, it's the very, very
To get
small
through everything,
minority. For the other 99.59 or whatever percent it is out there doing the right things for the right reasons.
Right.
We all wear it and feel it and hurt because of the idiots that do the wrong thing.
Yeah, all it takes is one bad apple, to spoil the whole thing, and then everybody's looked in a negative light, and we know better than that. But there's those out there that don't, and then, I think it's important that we also talk about the fact that bad guys are bad guys. They don't follow the laws, and that our governor made this is off about body cams, by the way, right now. He called on Monday. He called for stricter federal gun laws because we're about as strict as you can get in a state. California is like almost number one, and it's getting worse every day. And it seems to me that nothing's changed because the bad guys don't follow the laws. So we talked about gun-free zones and how that doesn't work either. And folks, I mean, I really believe that. It's time to tell our politicians and people running for office that, gun control or more added burdens doesn't change anything. Will never change anything. Bad guys are bad guys and will always be bad guys, and that's just the way it is. And one of the other things, I just had an opportunity to talk to a person that worked in the legislation for many years as representative for gun owners of California. And one of the reasons I talked to him, his name is Tom Peterson, and hopefully he's watching. One of the issues that I think we talked about was called microstamping. And one of the reasons I want to bring this up, just so, because we're getting a little clarification of what's going on here. Microstamping, for those who don't know, is in a way so that the firearm is able to impart upon the case that's fired. That, you know, you have your cartridge, and that case has a brass face on it. Impart some type of serial number on the face of the cartridge or on the primer. Okay. So the idea is then that if the gun is used in the crime, the brass is scattered all around. They're able to pick up the brass and say, okay, this particular brass went with this particular gun. Now, there's a lot of controversy because, you know, maybe it's been reloaded, maybe it's just been picked up and it's seeded from another crime scene. There's all kinds of negatives to why it won't work anyway. And then the other issue I've brought up, and Tom said that some people have talked about it, but they're kind of going, is that now we would have to register firing pins as well. And one of the things that happened is Kamala Harris, our Attorney General, said that it's starting January 1, 2016, which is just a few weeks away, any new model semi-automatic firearm coming into California must have microstamping within its ability. And the reason this happened is I found out that the Department of Justice found someone to said, oh, I can do this, and I can make a demonstration of it, that was able to do this, that satisfied Department of Justice that yes, microstamping will work. Now, I have some inside knowledge of why it won't, and I'll tell you that the state of California has already spent millions of dollars studying microstamping through California Department of Vehicles. DMV was trying to find a way to put microstamping on parts of cars. They did a 3-year study, multi-million-dollar study, and came to the conclusion that microstamping will not work. It will not hold up. It will not stay. And so, of course, they dropped it. So we already have one state agency saying, doesn't work. We have another agency that just took a sample and said, oh, okay, that satisfies us, and now it's going to work. So what's going to happen, what you're going to find when you go to a gun store, January 2, 2016, is that any current guns that are already on the roster and already for sale don't need to be microstamped. So that means you'll be able to still buy new guns, but of course there'll be generation, like Glock, for example, Generation 3 guns. When they're going in, they have Generation 4, and we'll be going into Generation 5 guns with improvements. We won't be able to have in the state of California because of it. You think it's going to help you at all in crime fighting?
No.
Yeah.
No. We already have a means to be able to pretty consistently determine if a round of ammunition, a case, or a bullet came out of a certain gun.
Right.
With microscopic
Yeah.
examination. We already can do that. No, the thing that kills me about this one is, again, all this affects is law-abiding citizens. A crook steals a gun, even if it's got microstamping capability. All they do is just, on a Glock, they'll take the slide off, they'll push the firing pin safety button, they'll push the firing pin forward, take a file, and go, and be done.
And
it's done. It's gone. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one of those laws that shouldn't be a law because it makes no sense and it's easily defeatable. And won't hold up in court.
No.
So again, unfortunately, the way our system works is that we can't sue to stop this until there is some harm and intent done, and then so we'll see what happens as we go along. Fortunately, California is the largest consumer of firearms in the country, and the manufacturers have said, fine, we're going to keep making these approved generation of guns, so there'll still be a flow of new guns, but you won't be able to get the latest
new technology.
Yeah, you won't be able to have the new technology, all those, all the nice brand new Kimbers that are out there that you'd die to have, and that you're not going to be able to do it. So that's the bad side of that. So we've got that to look at. I'm going to end with one kind of a funny thing because we're getting close. And please, folks, it's 530-621-2010. This is your last chance for this year to talk to the sheriff or ask any questions you want. We're ready to take your call. John, is there anything else that you would like to talk about to wrap up the year? Is there any burning topics that are...
Burning topics?
Yes.
Oh, there's so much on fire.
Right.
No, it's been a great year. I'm looking forward to a really good, safe holiday season. Folks, remember the basic safety stuff when you're out doing your Christmas shopping. Keep your cars locked. Keep your valuables out of sight.
Right.
Don't fall victim. Have your keys ready when you're going to your car. Just all the good common sense stuff. You can find them all on any good website. They'll
Right.
tell you about what the safe things for Christmas. So do that and have a great Christmas season. Have a great New Year's. I'll be working, so maybe I'll see you out there. I'll be in Tahoe for New Year's Eve this year with the rest of my troops. Christmas I will be at home with my grandkids.
Good.
Just have a really good one and safe.
We want everybody to be safe and have a good holiday. I pulled this out. This was really interesting, and it was a advertisement in a newspaper, and I'm going to read it to you folks just because I thought it was humorous. And it started out with single black female. I got my glasses. I get this right. This has to be one of the best single ads ever printed. It is reported to have been listed in the Atlanta Journal. It goes on, single black female seeks male companionship. Ethnicity unimportant. I'm a very good girl who loves to play. I love long walks in the woods, riding in your pickup truck, hunting, camping, and fishing trips, cozy winter nights lying by the fire. Candlelight dinners will have me eating out of your hand. I'll be at the front door when you get home from work wearing only what nature gave me. Call, and they gave a number, and ask for Annie. I'll be waiting. Great ad, right? So, just once this ad hit, over 150 men found themselves talking to the Atlanta Humane Society. It was for a dog they were trying to get Anna adopted out.
Lab,
And 150 guys called in for that. So I thought that was great. So, of course, take care of your pets out there. We're very pet friendly here, and we believe in them. So give them a good Christmas as well. And, folks, thank you very much for watching Crime Beat on Old Guy Tech TV. It's been a wonderful year. Personally, I'm very happy to see 2015 go away, 2016 come in, so we can continue to have a good one. So, once again, thank you so much for watching. For Sheriff John DeAugustini, I'm Rob Charny on Crime Beat with Old Guy Tech TV. We'll see you next year.